All right. Well, good deal. And we'll start here in just a second. All right. Hey, do me a favor, guys, if you would, before we get started, as everybody's getting logged in, if you could just let me know where you're located. I'm always curious about that. Where are you tuning in from tonight? And I'm going to try to make this as interactive as possible, really throughout the presentation. We usually have some folks not only in the U.S. but sometimes in other parts of the world because we're a worldwide school here. So we got Miami, we got California. Um, Wednesday nights, we don't usually have huge turnouts. We get more people who watch the recording the next day. Utica, I have spent a lot of time in Utica, Fabian. I have family there. Welcome, welcome. All right. Well, good deal, guys. Well, you can go ahead and start the recording and we'll get officially started. All right, welcome everybody. Welcome to tonight's presentation from Neotech Academy, our info session on software testing, our software testing boot camp. We've been doing this for a long time as far as offering these boot camps. We have graduates who have found gainful employment, to say the least, all around the world. And we're so thrilled to have you with us tonight because I look at it this way, this is truly life changing. There are so many people out there who are concerned about their job. They're concerned about, they're working the 9 to 5 grind. I've known people. I mean, I'm from the Washington D.C. area. I was born in D.C. and I go up and I'll visit family once in a while. And my goodness, the Beltway can take hours. And I'm just pointing that out because there are so many people out there who literally, I mean, they're driving hours to work, to work. Then they're at their job all day. Then they're driving home. It takes them forever, and it's really impacting their quality of life. So, what we're talking about tonight is not just a career path, but really it's a quality of life. That's really what you are getting involved with, improving your quality of life potentially by becoming a software tester. And that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. So let me just lay out what's going to happen. I'm going to go through some preliminaries, just go give you some background, on what we're doing here, what the purpose of this is. I'm going to bring on one of our founders. His name is Elion, and he's going to give you a little bit more information. He'll talk about himself a little bit. He's one of our founders, so he's going to be telling you about the company itself, how he founded the company. And then I'm going to come on afterwards. Also, he's got some offer letters, some actual offer letters from some of our graduates who have, who went from making, this amount of money, now they're making this amount of money. And they improved their quality of life because now they have more freedom to do what they want to do. And that's what it boils down to. It really is freedom if you think about it. And what do I mean by that? Well, everybody has their own definition of freedom. But for a lot of people, it is not being stuck at the office. A lot of people, to be blunt with you, want to have something that's remote, a remote job opportunity, also working with a well-known company. We're going to show you some of the companies that we've had where our graduates have wound up getting jobs with. You've heard of all of them. I'll just tell you right now. You'll see a list a little bit later. We do everything we can to not only train you in our boot camp, and we'll give you more details about the boot camp in a second, but we also do whatever we can to help you land that first job, to get your free software tester. And once you do that, then the sky is the limit. Then you can go from software testing to something else. But we're talking about around a six-figure job, career really, that doesn't require a 4-year degree, where you don't have to be at the job for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years to finally start making pretty good money. You know what I'm talking about? Because it happens with a lot of people. You know, they work at a particular company, they're in an industry forever, and they got to pay their dues. Some of you may have heard that. You got to pay your dues first. Once you pay your dues, then you can start making pretty good money. Now, how about we start at the beginning? So we'll talk about software testing, what it's all about here in just a second. I'm going to go through the tuition with you. We have a money back guarantee in writing. We take a lot of the risk on ourselves because we want to make this as affordable as possible for the masses to get as many people involved as possible. So I'm going to go through all that with you. But education doesn't matter. Don't worry about that. Do you have the desire to do the job? I'll explain how that works a little bit later. I get this question a lot. What about my age? Because we've had people who, they're in their 50s or in their 60s, and they're like, can I start over? I've never had an IT job. That doesn't matter. Again, what companies care about is can you do the job that we're going to train you to do? So we have actual projects that you'll be working on. Will help you out with your CV, your resume, and you'll be able to put these projects on your resume because you'll have actual experience that we're going to give you during the boot camp. So you think about, and by the way, look at the date right there, March 29, 2026. So think about where you are right now and imagine where you could be after the boot camp is over. And it's a 6 month boot camp. You're going to learn more in 6 months than would take you, years on the job. So we're going to compress all that in a very short amount of time. Doesn't matter what your education is, doesn't matter what your background is, if you have a degree, if you don't have a degree, doesn't matter what, again, doesn't matter what your age is. Language, yeah, you should be able to communicate in English. Do you have to be proficient in English? You need to be able to understand and communicate in English. So if English is your second language or third language, don't worry about it. As long as you can communicate, and understand, then you'll be fine. Okay, so why consider a job in IT? Well, think about this. I'm sure everyone here would agree that everything in our life revolves around technology, and it's only going to compound from here. And a lot of people, are not only looking to be ahead of the game, so to speak, and having a career in IT, but what they're also looking for is a remote type of opportunity where they have more freedom, like we were alluding to a moment ago. And I was thinking about this earlier, how, you remember back how when COVID started and there were so many companies being shut down, or they were, they told people, hey, you can't come into the office, we'll have to do remote work, and maybe the remote work didn't really start for a lot of companies until well into the pandemic. Some of you might remember that. Well, in the IT industry, we were already offering remote opportunities. People were already working remotely. So the remote opportunities only were magnified during COVID. And I think COVID taught us a couple of things. It taught us that tomorrow's not a guarantee. By the way, how many of you would agree with that tomorrow's not a guarantee? And secondly, it taught us that we've got to have a plan B. We can't rely on same old traditional careers necessarily. If God forbid something happens again, another pandemic, and companies do the same thing all over again, you'll be in the driver's seat, so to speak. You're going to be prepared because you're in an industry where there's already so many remote opportunities available as it is. Now, what is software testing? Let's start to get into this. It sounds pretty self-explanatory, software testing, but what's it all about? Well, everyone here, I'm sure, has used an app on your phone. You've used TikTok, you've used Uber, you've used YouTube, you've probably pulled up Amazon on your phone at some point. So you know what a good app is. In other words, you try to use it and it works, doesn't crash on you or anything like that. So that's what you bring to the table. You've used technology. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to give you some technical knowledge, some hands-on expertise, put it all together, and you're going to learn with our help how to do software testing. Now, here's the thing. A lot of people aren't aware of this, but companies around the world, especially here in the US, they pay people just like you to come on board, and what they will do is they will have you test software, test an application. before it's introduced to the public. Now, you might ask, well, why would they do that? Well, think about it for a second. Rather than the public trying it out after it's launched and it's it's crashing, maybe the development team didn't do exactly what they were supposed to do as far as the color scheme. Maybe it just doesn't look very good because somebody messed up along the way. Your job as a software tester is to locate the bugs, to find out what's wrong with the application before it goes public. Now, you might ask, well, how will I know what to look for? Right? Well, you'll be given a list that are of called that which is called the requirements. So you'll have a list of requirements. It's like a checklist. You'll simply go through the checklist, make sure the fonts are right, the color scheme's right, does it work properly? There are a whole bunch of different things. Okay. So you're going to get paid very well in order to accomplish this. Now, here's the great part about this. Other than, the nice pay and, it's usually remote work. The other great part about this is you don't have to fix it. Okay? So it's not your responsibility to fix the bug. Your job is simply to find the bug. That's all. Okay? So that's just a 30,000-foot view of what software testing is. I'm just going to look over here to my chat. I've got 6 screens here in my office. Actually, I got 12 because I got two desks, each with 6 screens on them. But on this particular desk that I'm on, I'm looking over here at the chat. Does that make sense to you guys? Just as far as, again, from a big picture perspective, does that make sense as to what a software testing career looks like? You're testing out the software before it goes to the public. Does that make sense? Give me some feedback in the chat. I appreciate that. Okay, good, good. All right, now how do we do this? How do we actually train you? It's done just like this. I mean, you're logged in right now on a Zoom call. That's how we teach. Now, I'm a big believer, some of you might agree with me on this, in because you might be able to relate to this, where I'm a big believer in what's called experiential training. Now, what do I mean by that? I have a difficult job. I have a difficult time learning something with any degree of complexity if it's simply told to me. Okay. And again, this is why I was saying some of you might be able to relate to this. You can't just tell me what to do. You got to show me what to do. And then on top of that, let me do it. And you let me know if I'm doing it correctly. Does anybody relate to that, by the way? I'm just curious. It's just like when I first learned how to drive a manual transmission, just having somebody tell me what to do, that's kind of tough, right? You've got to have that person in the car with you, have them do it first. You check everything out, okay, so you got the friction point, between the accelerator and the clutch. You get an idea of, when to shift and all that. And then you do it. You'll probably fail the first few times, but you got someone there to tell you what you're doing wrong. So that's how we instruct here. So it's not just telling you what to do, but it's showing you and then having you do it and let you know if you do it correctly. Now we're going to go through the times in just a few minutes, days of the week and the times. Don't worry if you have a conflict. That happens all the time. People always find a way to get it done because we record all of the sessions. So if you're like, hey, I've got a family get together, I've got something at my regular job I have to do. Guys, we've had people with 1 and 2 jobs and they did the boot camp and they graduated and now they're working as a software tester. We've had single moms do this. Think about how hard it is to be a mom. You're a single mom, you got kids, and you're trying to take care of the house, take care of yourself, and do this. And we've had quite a few single moms who have been successful at this. So, if you can't make it, my point is we record the sessions. You can watch them at your convenience. There's also a homework involved, and what we really are doing here is preparing you for your new career, which really is a life-changing career. Think about having more freedom, making more money, the money that you deserve. And so we'd like to point out if you're not really looking at this as a career, then you're probably not the right fit for this. If it's just going to be a hobby for you or something like that, you're probably not going to do too well in the boot camp. Now, Course Report is very well respected in our industry. They rated us as the best QA testing boot camp in 2023, as well as 2024. And then Career Karma rated us as the best software testing bootcamp for 2024 as well. 2025 isn't done yet, but we're feeling pretty confident that we're going to add another badge up here. Now, if you haven't done so already, write down this date, March 29, 2026. That's going to be the beginning of our 6 months accelerated course where you get, notice what it says here, you get hands-on experience on real projects. Doesn't matter what your background is. I want to emphasize that. Now, I've already said it, and you're seeing it on the screen. I just want to emphasize this. Who cares what it doesn't matter what your background is. Whether it's professional, whether it's blue collar, it doesn't matter. I don't care if you're a valet, at a restaurant, you're parking cars, or you're a bartender, whatever the case may be. This is all we do here at Neotech is we train people to have careers in IT, and for a lot of people, they wind up being a software tester, and that can then lead into other things. But generally speaking, and you can check this out on your own a little bit later after we're done, but check out what the salary ranges are for your area. Usually they're somewhere between 80 to 130,000. And that's not having to wait, pay your dues 5 years, 10 years, and then maybe down the road you can start making some pretty good money. No, that's what they're starting out with. Now, every area is going to be different. Some areas have a higher cost of living. So, some areas that have a higher cost of living, the pay is going to be higher than someplace else where the cost of living isn't quite as much. So during the boot camp, you're going to be exposed to a broad perspective of tools and languages throughout our program. Don't worry if some of these terms confuse you right now. You'll learn about these, okay? But the point of this is, yeah, you might start out as a software tester, but maybe down the road, you get on the development team. Maybe you become a software developer, maybe become an ETL tester or an API tester or a Scrum Master, where you'll also, of course, be playing rugby. Just kidding. No, but again, these terms you'll learn all about these terms, during the boot camp. So you start out with software testing, but a lot of times that is a springboard into another higher paying, even more high paying career. So software testing starts out pretty good as far as the pay goes, but the sky really is the limit, and we'll do whatever we can to really make your dreams happen. But it all starts with signing up, which we'll talk about how that works a little bit later. Okay. I'm going to bring on my colleague, Elian. He's going to come on, tell you a little bit about himself. Hold on one second here, guys. My other screen. There we go. Okay. So Elian's going to come on here and tell a little bit more about himself and about the company, and talk about actually show you some offers, some real offer letters that some of our graduates have received, and I'll come back on at the end and go through the tuition with you. Okay. All right, Elian, you want to go ahead and take it away, my friend?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Eric. So by the way, I just want to make sure, can you see my screen where it talks about the our flow of the course? So I think you can see my screen. So anyways, my name is Elion Limanai, and I have been a software developer for 20 years right now. I'm one of the co-founders of Neotech Academy, and I'm also the lead instructor of the QA bootcamp. So we have a couple of bootcamps in our under Neotech, and and like QA testing, right, or software testing is one of the bootcamps that we have there. Just wanted to answer also Fabian's question. Can the remote job be a side job if I already have a job? So remote job means a full-time job, and it is generally, right, it is, you have to work in that job. So are there people that can do two jobs at the same time? Yes, there might be, but normally when you talk about a remote job, we're talking about a full-time job, okay? So probably you shouldn't have another job. So anyways, so let me talk about our course, the flow of our course. So what do we teach in our bootcamp? So we teach about manual testing. So when we talk about testing, just want to make sure that we know we as software testers, we want to make sure that the software is working as expected. So our company has created a software or a web application where let's suppose one of the applications can be, for example, let's say we work for Bank of America. So if you go to bankofamerica.com, that is actually a web application. So you can log in there, you can check your bank account, you can transfer some money from your account to another account, right? Or you can transfer money from your debit account to your credit account, right? So there is an application. So the data are stored there, and the software developers are, they want to make sure, right? They want to make sure that the software is working fine. So that is what they're doing. But of course, sometimes the job, like, it's not working as expected. So it's the job of software testers to test the software, to make sure that everything is working fine, everything is working as expected. If something goes wrong, the software testers, they're supposed to report it to the team. Say, you know what? When you're trying to transfer money from this account to another account, something went wrong, right? So I don't know, the software crashed, or maybe more money was transferred, or stuff like that. So you just need to report it to the team, and the developers have to fix the problem. So the job of the software testers is not to fix the problem, is only to find the problem and to report it to the team. So anyways, so manual testing is that part when you are manually clicking here and clicking there, and you're trying to make sure that everything is working fine as per, right, as per requirements of the software. And at the beginning, right, we're teaching about manual testing, because every software tester is actually a manual tester, because they need to test the software. They need to know how the product should work. But of course, we don't want to stop there, because manual testing, of course, like, people can work as manual testers, but the salaries are low. And also now more and more companies are switching to automation. So what is automation? Is you as a software tester writing a code, which your code or your script or whatever you call it, it will test the software, okay? So you're writing those scenarios, right? Those requirements, testings to do them automatically. So for that reason, we need to learn coding, right? How to write that code, how to write the script. So we start from scratch and we teach Java programming language. So why do we teach Java? Because Java is one of the strongest programming languages, one of the most used programming languages. Of course, there might be other programming languages in the area, right, or in the field, but Java is one of them. Java is one of the strongest. So if you know Java, definitely you can learn the others easily. So the first 3 months of the program, we teach about the basics of Java. What are for loops there? What are if else? What are those logic, right, of the software? And it is a little bit difficult. So at the first couple of months, you see if you really like the coding or not. But after we're done with Java, then we learn about automation testing tools. So now we have those tools that allow us to open the browser. We call them Selenium, those tools, and we'll learn about those testing tools. So let's say we're going to test bankofamerica.com, right? You are the tester of Bank of America. So you need to open the browser. You need to go to bankofamerica.com. You need to log in there. You need to try to transfer the money. So all those things are done. All the commands are done through Selenium. And also everything that is done there is reported. And I don't know if needed, the screenshots are taken and they're putting in the report. And for that report, we use TestNG and Cucumber, which are two different testing frameworks. I know that we're talking about tools here, and probably you maybe don't have any idea, but the purpose why I'm teaching those things here is because if you want to do some research, if you have a friend or cousin or somebody who's in this field, or probably even in Google, you can go and search and say, is Java, is Selenium, is TestNG, Cucumber like commonly used tools or not? And you can learn about that part, okay? So after you learn this part, guys, you have learned manual testing and also front-end testing. So front-end, like whatever the user sees, you want to make sure to test it to make sure that everything works fine for the user. But all this data, your login information, your bank account, all your transactions, I don't know, everything that is done in Bank of America, we're taking this example in our case here, all those are stored somewhere, which we call it backend, we call it the database. So you need to know also how to test those information in the database, right? If they're really stored there correctly. So also API, let's say the flowing of the data from your front end, from whatever you see the browser there to the database, right? So you need to learn how to test API, how to test database. So that is called backend testing, right? So we also learn about that part in the bootcamp to make sure that our students, they are able to test the front part, to test the back part. So if you know to test both of them, you're called full stack tester. So you are exposed to more job openings, right? You're exposed to manual testing. you're exposed to front-end testing, you're exposed to back-end testing, and also to full stack testing. So all of these combinations you can apply for those jobs at the end of the boot camp, at the end of this 6 months boot camp. So these are the technical part that we teach in the bootcamp. But of course, we also teach about soft skills, how to prepare your resume, how to talk in the interviews, how to like talk in the meetings. Because when you go and work as a software tester, you have to join those meetings. We call them sprint meetings. We call them stand-up meetings, different types of meetings. And you need to know about those things because when you go and you apply at the end of the bootcamp, you're going to apply to those positions which require some background because or let's say some experience because more and more job openings right now, they want people to have experience. That's why we're making sure that you are gaining that experience during the boot camp. So also at the end of the boot camp, so we prepare you for the interviews, but also at the end of the boot camp, we also like we're done, we don't let you go. We want to make sure that you are applying for the jobs. If you have any questions while you are getting some, I don't know, replies from recruiters, you have an interview, right? So we also help our students with that part. Even when you get an offer, you go to our team. We have a job placement team, a team which is helping the students that are getting an offer. And sometimes I know nowadays a lot of these scams are happening. So yesterday, a friend of mine, he called me and said, I got an offer and I'm very happy about it. But when we went into the details, we learned that, right? We learned that that is a scam. So sometimes some of the recruiters, they try to get your information. So you have to be careful about it. And also our team will help you about that part. So Fabian, don't worry, I'm going to answer all your questions, but let me go through the flow and then we're going to go over your questions, okay? So these are the tools that we teach in our bootcamp, right? So and I don't want you to get scared to see, oh my God, there are too many tools here. But as I said, like we want to mention to make sure that you know what you're signing up for, what you are going to learn. And if you want, you can ask your relatives or your friends, or I don't know, even in Google, if these tools are strong enough. So Java is a programming language that I mentioned and is a very important one. This is the base of our bootcamp, okay? Java. Then we learn about Selenium, which allows you to communicate with the browser, to open Chrome browser and to send commands there. Then we learn about TestNG and Cucumber, which are those two testing tools which allow us to create reports, to take screenshots, and to make sure that we are reporting it the correct way, the documentation to the software developers. Then also we have backend testing. So Postman, Rest Assured, MySQL, these tools are used to test database, to test API, to test that part. Then also we learn about Jira software. So in this industry, if you're working in the IT industry, you know that Jira is most commonly used when you want to split your tasks. So for example, during this week, you have 30 hours, 40 hours to work. So you have to get those tasks one by one. And one task is 2 hours, one task is 3 hours, and you are filling your bucket of tasks, what you need to do during this sprint or during this week. So all these things will be taught during our bootcamp. GitHub, which is a tool about how to share the code with each other, Maven, JUnit, all these things, right? All these things will be taught one by one during the bootcamp, during this 6 months, so that you get experience. And also, right, every time that we teach something, we give a homework, and then after you learn something, also you get a project to test, right, to make sure that you're learning everything step by step. So how do you learn? So I mentioned some of the things, but I'm going to go fast here. All the classes are live. As of right now, guys, we have this info session here. The same thing is for the classes. We do them through Zoom. We want to make sure that everybody is joining the classes live. If you cannot join the classes live, don't worry, because every class is recorded and it's shared with you so that you can watch it later at your own availability if you're not available at the time. Of course, we strongly suggest our students to join the classes live, but sometimes you cannot join them, okay? So as I said, we're gonna have a couple of projects, big projects during our bootcamp. So we have an individual project, you do it alone, and you have a big project, which is a group project, which you do with your team. Besides the classes, guys, also we have some extra hours. We call them extra hours, office hours, if you want to ask for help from the teacher, right? So we have 3-4 teachers during the boot camp, so they also will have their office hours if you have any questions outside of the classes. So every class we give some homework, some tests that we share with the students, and we do them, right? The students try to do them, and then after that, we do it together with the students. So we give some coding challenges to practice that you're learning. At the end, we have a final assessment. We call it the mock interview. Like at the end, we want to make sure that you are ready for the market. You learned everything. So at the end of the bootcamp, we make a interview one-on-one with every student. So one of our instructors, one of our mentors, they do an interview to the student to make sure that they have learned everything. And if they are not there yet, we give some feedback, and then we say, you know what, we have to reschedule another final interview with you because we want to make sure that you're ready for the market. We have review class every week, guys. We have I'm going to talk about the schedule. We have the schedule, and during the on Sunday we review everything that we learned during the week. We share quizzes every time we learn topics. We share the quizzes to make sure that you're learning, right? And also we have something we call mentor sessions. So mentor sessions, we're very proud of it. We have our mentors which have years of experience. Some of them probably were like you, were students 5-6 years ago. After that, they were graduated, they started working in a job, and now for like they have 5-6 years of experience, and they share their experience with our students to help them and to make sure that they are getting ready for the market and getting ready to do this job. So this is the schedule, guys. This is very important. So our bootcamp will start the next one, because as of right now we are with our batch 10. On March we're going to start with batch 11, which will be hopefully you. It will start in March 2026. So we have a little bit more than 3 months right now. But of course, you have to prepare yourself. You have to prepare your schedule, because from March until, let's say, October, you're going to learn classes every week. It's like an intensive, right? Like instead of going to do a master's degree, which is very expensive, and you spend 2 years, for 6 months, you're learning whatever you need during this bootcamp, and it's very intensive. So on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, 3 days a week, 3 hours each. It will be 9 hours during the weekdays. Saturday and Sunday, 4 hours on Saturday, 4 hours on Sunday. So there's a total of 19 hours here, guys. By the way, all these times here are Eastern time. If you are in a different time zone, make sure to adjust your time. Let's say if you're in California, it will be from 4 to 7 p.m. If you are in like Eastern time, this will be your time of the classes. So these are the classes, guys. All the classes are live. We're not share pre-recorded videos with you. Every class is live. We're recording that one, and we're also sharing the recording after the class. So if a student is joining the class, learning everything, but they want to rewatch it, they can watch the video, because everything will be shared with you, and we are doing this one with our current students as of right now. So I strongly suggest you guys to take this part seriously, to make sure that you adjust your time. And if you want to prepare before March 26th, if you go to our website, there is a section there, free lessons. We can share some free lessons with you, which is, let's say, the first couple of weeks. Over there, you can see how our classes are organized, how the videos are shared. So definitely you can have an idea before you start the bootcamp. Okay. So as I mentioned earlier, guys, right? Not only we teach you technical classes and soft skill classes during the bootcamp, but even when the bootcamp is over, we prepare you for the interviews. We also help you, right, with our job placement team. We also help you even after you're done with the bootcamp, to make sure that you are landing that job that you have dreamed of. Okay. So mock interview is the one I mentioned. At the end, every student will be interviewed to make sure that they're ready for the market. We're going to help. We have a couple of sessions at the end, of course, because you don't need at the beginning, how to build your resume. Those tools that you're learning, how to put them in your resume, and how to make sure that your resume will be standing up in front of the other resumes. Also, we have a couple of sessions about how to apply for the jobs, where to apply, when to apply. I don't know, LinkedIn, Dice, ZipRecruiter, different websites, and then to apply as many jobs as possible, so that you can get interviews. And then after you get interviews, then you're going to, let's say, land the job. So soft skill classes will help you with this, right? With this terminology, how to talk about, right? How to have this experience in this field. So we're going to give you information about the market. We have one-on-one mentoring. I talked about mentoring. So our mentors, which already have experience, they will help you with those. They will tell about their experience. Then towards the, let's say, middle of the bootcamp, we create groups. Every 10 students, they have a mentor. They talk together. they give their experience, share the experience with them. And also when we do the group project, their mentor will be helping them with the group project to make sure that they're practicing everything that they learned during the boot camp. So we have a lot of alumni. As of right now, we have, I believe, more than 1,000 alumni. They are there working. Sometimes they're switching from a company to another. Sometimes in their companies, they are like their job openings in their companies, so they're sharing their openings with us. And if any of the students wants to apply and wants to go to those, I mean, to that location, let's say, right? Sometimes because some of the companies they want you to go to that location. Sometimes it's a remote job. So depending on that, we share with our students. And also one of the things that even though it looks easy, salary negotiation. We have students which get a job offer, which can be very low and accept it immediately. We tell them to be careful to make sure that they are raising right their expectations because and sometimes they can get multiple job offers and to make sure how you are maximizing your compensation from the company uh, because by talking to them you can also right talking about your experience and everything you can make sure that you are negotiating with the company or with the recruiter to get a higher salary. So, of course, this is an old one. If you go there and if you look yourself, guys, to any of the website, this is Glassdoor, but also you can look in other websites. What is right? What is the salary of a software development engineering test? QA engineer, software tester, as that. All these titles are the same. We're talking about the person who is testing. We're making sure that the quality of the application is working fine. And by the way, the tester guys is also hired by the company. The company hires the developers to create the software. The same company hires the testers to make sure that the software is working fine. It's like kind of an audit of the software. So, but of course there are salaries that are higher, lower, depending on the on the city, on the state that you're gonna be working, because sometimes in some states the salaries are way higher. Sometimes, depending on the state, also can be a lower salary. Okay, so I'm going to show you some offers, guys. These are some samples of our students, and we hide their confidential information. So this is a salary. It looks like it's a low one. You see 87,000 yearly. And also there is some base and also some bonuses there that are given, some extra bonuses to the persons. By the way, these are real offers, guys, but we have hidden the students' information to make sure that they're not being exposed. So another salary here is 92,000 annually. Let me get another. And of course, by the way, depending on the company, they can give you days off, PTO, and different things there, benefits. This one here is hourly 46. So 46 hourly, if you multiply it by 2, and then it gives roughly about 93, 94,000 a year. That's what it means, 46 hourly. There's another one here, 115. So this one is in, I don't know if it's the state here. So this is the title, and then this is the offer. Another one here in Florida is 48, which is about 97,000 a year. So this is hourly rate, and then if you work 40 hours a week, that's what it means. Another one here is 135. This is in New York, right? It's New York, 135, and also there is a 20,000 bonus, right, when you start working, right? And there is other benefits. So here it looks like a lot of information are confidential, but here it's hourly, 40,000 an hour. And if we continue like this, guys, we can see different offers here that our students. Another one here is 112, which is in Florida, right? Depending on the state and depending that these are some sample offers. So I'm gonna go back to here. So our alumni, this is where they're working. Of course, there are a lot of alumni working in a lot of different companies. We cannot show all the companies here, but these are some of the companies working for Bank of America, Oracle, eBay, United Airlines, AWS, CVS. So different companies. And as I said, sometimes if there is any opening in their company, they share it with us and we share it with our students to make sure that they can apply. So I'm going to invite back Eric here. He's going to talk now about pricing, which is probably the most important part of this info session. And then if you have any questions, guys, I'm going to come back and I'm going to answer all your questions here. So please hold your questions for the end.
All right. Thanks so much, Elian, for that Great information there. So hopefully you guys now have a pretty good idea of what this whole thing is about. It's a 6 month boot camp. Again, we're going to teach you more in 6 months than would take you years on the job. Um, and you'll be able to see that right at the beginning of the boot camp, I think. But let's go through the cost of education compared to what a boot camp normally would cost, and then what we're actually charging for our boot camp, and what the tuition is to get educated here and to start your new life, so to speak. So a lot of you might be aware of this if you maybe some of you have been to college, or maybe you've got kids that are thinking about going to school. I mean, the average cost nowadays is pretty insane, isn't it? You're looking at close to $40,000 a year. Now, granted, you could get a grant, you could get a scholarship, something along those lines. But let's say you didn't. I mean, you're looking at what, $160,000 approximately, 150, 160,000. And after you graduate, it doesn't matter what the university is. After you graduate the university, are they then obligated to help you land a job? No, they don't have any obligation because they've already gotten your money. How many of you know somebody who's actually gotten a 4 year degree or even a 2 year degree or maybe even a master's? I don't know. And they're not even working in that field. I have family where that's been the case. I have a sister who, she studied psychology. She's never been a psychologist. Family that studied physics never got a career in physics. So whatever it is, whatever your background is, whatever you study for in university, there's no guarantee you're going to get a job there. Okay, it's a lot of money. It's a gamble if you think about it. There's a lot of risk. There is the potential for great reward, but for a lot of folks, it winds up not really having been worth it. And then there's the time element. It's not just the money. Think about the time put into it: 4 years, 6 years, 8 years, whatever the case may be. Now, other boot camps. Other boot camps, a lot of them will offer less than what we do, but yet charge more. And then you have us down here. Now, what we've done is we've created and by the way, other boot camps, well over $13,000. Over $13,000 is the average software testing boot camp. Okay, now here's what we've done. We've been doing this for a long time. We have hundreds and hundreds of graduates literally all around the world. We want to make it affordable for pretty much anybody to get involved if this is something that they truly want to do, if they're motivated to do this. And so we created a very unique system, a unique way for people just like yourself to get involved. So let's talk about this. All right. So the regular tuition is 52.49. Now here's what we do. First off, here's the first discount, okay? We're going to take $400 off. That's the early bird discount. So let's see. Today is the 10th, Wednesday. So by this weekend, if this makes any sense to you at all, by this weekend, Sunday the 14th, if you're signing up between now and then, you get to take advantage of our early bird discount. That's an extra $400 off. That brings the tuition down to 48.49. But here's the thing, it's 7 monthly installments of 693. And if that's too much, we actually do have some third-party financing. Reach out to us, and we'll give you some more information about how that works if that payment winds up being an issue for you, where you're like, hey, I can't really afford that. Well, reach out to us, guys. We want to work with people. We want to get you educated. We want to get you have you attain that new skill set so you can then go out there and start your new career, your new life. Now, here's where the interesting part comes into play. Remember, I told you a moment ago, the average boot camp is how much? Over 13,000, right? Okay, ours isn't. So here's what we do to, I guess you could say, compensate for that. So we have what's called a placement fee. And what it does is it puts you and Neotech Academy on the same side of the table, okay? So we're going to do everything we can because we're motivated to do it to help you land your first job. So we have a placement fee. How does that work? That's 85% of your first month's salary after you find a job. And it's waived if you don't find a job, so don't worry about it if you don't have a job yet. And you can even do a payment plan on it of 4 monthly installments. So you go through the boot camp. Okay, it's 6 months. You've got the knowledge, you've got experience on projects. We help you do everything we can to help you land that first job. It's not 85% of the first year. We're not going to do that to you. No, it's 85% of the first month's salary, which is then divided into 4 monthly installments. And that's to compensate for the very low tuition that we're offering for you to get involved. So we're educating you for hardly anything. We're taking the risk. We have a money back guarantee, which I'll go through in just a second. And we're doing everything we can to help you land that first job. And we're incentivized to help you land that first job. There are other discounts if you're referred by a Neotech student or alumni. Let us know when you reach out to us. There's an additional discount. If you sign up in groups of 2 or 3, 4 or more, let us know and we'll let you know what we can do for you. But groups of 2 or 3, if it's a group of 2, each of you gets another $150 off. If it's a group of 3, each student gets $200 off. Now, what if I change my mind later? Well, there's no deposit, there's no application fee. You don't pay anything until the boot camp actually kicks off. You start paying when the classes begin, not before. So you can sign up now. You start paying when the classes begin, not before. Cancel for free anytime until the boot camp starts. And here's one of the big, I guess, for lack of a better way of putting this, one of the big selling points, other than our low tuition, where we don't teach you fluff, we teach you what you seriously need to know to do well and to advance at your first job in your new career. We offer you a 30-day money back guarantee. 100% refund if you decide to leave, and that's available until you complete your first month. So you'll know within a couple of weeks, guys, probably even the first week, if this whole thing is for you. If you're looking to change your life, make the money that you deserve, work remotely potentially, why would you not want to do this? Now, make a note of this, maybe take a screenshot, because if you want to take that next step, learn more about the bootcamp, go to neotechacademy.com/bootcamp. You can also book a call with our admissions team, neotech.live/call. If you're not ready to call, submit your interest at neotechacademy.com/apply, but secure your spot now because my calendar's over here on the wall. That's the reason why I keep looking at it. So we only have, 1, 2, 3, 4 days until the end of that early bird discount where we're taking an extra $400 off. We also have some things for you to do prior to the boot camp actually beginning. So that will help you to be successful in the boot camp. So don't procrastinate. That's what a lot of people do. Why do people procrastinate about anything? A lot of times that's just their nature. People will procrastinate about things. But I think what it boils down to for a lot of people is fear. It's fear of failing. It's fear of the unknown, whatever the case may be. But you know what the acronym, it actually is an acronym. Some of you may have heard of this. FEAR. What does that really mean? False evidence appearing how? Appearing real. False evidence appearing real. That's all fear is. That's what holds people back. A lot of you are worth more. You could be making a whole lot more than what you're currently making. Maybe even 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 times more than what you're currently making. But you're selling yourself short. Learn more about the bootcamp, neotechacademy.com/bootcamp. Just so you know, we also have, just throwing this out there, a lot of people are concerned about AI. We have addressed AI. We have boot camps for AI. Reach out to us. Reach out to our member services. I'm sorry, our admissions team. And what they'll do is they will give you some information about our AI boot camps as well. But we do have boot camps beginning for AI starting on January the 17th. So that's coming. That's right around the corner. So I just wanted to let you know that. That's all, because that's a common question people have: is what about AI? Taking over every industry that's out there. Well, we have a program designed for people who have a software testing background where they can then segue into an AI career. We also have a program in place where if you don't have any type of IT background, you can actually get involved with our AI boot camp as well. So reach out to us. We'll give you some details on how that works. Email us for any questions, team@neotechacademy.com. Schedule a phone call, neotech.live/call. If that's what you want to do, just you want to take your phone and call us directly, do so. 929-566-3919. Just real quickly on this, guys, I won't go through every single one here, but to do a comparison between being self-taught, going through us, being trained by us, going to university, taking online courses, how much time will it take you? These are the big things, really, the time. How much time is it going to take me to do something? Well, if you're self-taught, who knows how long it's going to take you? University, you're looking at 4 years. We talked about that earlier. Online courses are self-paced. That could take you years also. With us, it's 6 months. It's very clearly defined. You're learning if you're self-taught, you're now saying if you're self-taught that you are the expert. Really, you're the expert. If you have no background in IT whatsoever, how can you possibly be the expert? Universities are typically non-interactive. Online courses are unsupervised. And we know what for most people left to their own devices, it's going to take them forever to get through something. That's just usually the way it is because people have a tendency to procrastinate, unfortunately. But with us, hands-on, live, real traders, real teachers, I'm sorry, extensive and individualized, market-driven. As far as the learning content is concerned, we have one-on-one mentorship as well as nearly 24/7 tech support. So what I want to do now is bring Iliam back on, and we're going to take some final questions here, guys. So if you do have any final questions for us before we wrap this up, just go ahead and fire away. And what I'll do is, because people generally have a question about the tuition, I'm going to take you back over here to the tuition page. And if you want us to discuss that again, we can. But fire away with any final questions, guys, if you have them.
So I saw a question from Ralph asking if there are any recording. So yes, we are recording this session and we're going to share the recording with you. So it will be a video recording shared with you through email. So definitely you can watch this one again if you want, or probably share it with somebody that might be interested. Also, another question from Fabian is about remote jobs. So we said remote jobs are normally full-time jobs, meaning that you work 5 days a week and for 8 hours a day. So that is in general, but of course, always depends on the company. There are some companies that are they like hybrid. So hybrid is probably 2 days you work from home and 3 days you go to the office. There are some companies that they want you to go every day to the office. So always depends on the company. And it's like whenever you're going to the interviews, you're going to learn about that. I mean, you have to ask from the company because some of the companies, they might want you to go to the office and you might need to relocate. Let's say you are in New York and you find a job in Texas and they want you to go to the office every day. So definitely then you'll have to relocate. And sometimes some of the companies also pay for your relocation. So let's say for the transportation, for the, I don't know, U-Haul or whatever you're using to move. So some of the companies, they also compensate you for that part. So that is in general. And again, about our program, as you were showing, Eric. So definitely, if you go to the next slide, so definitely, if you are interested, guys, also we're gonna have a couple of boot camps about AI. So if you go to our website, you can learn about we can have an info session about this boot camp probably next week, and you can learn about those other boot camps. Another question is also, I am in the AA field already, just have not been certified yet. So what do you mean by AA field? I don't know what AA field means. Would that also be a good boot camp to join? Yeah, QA. Okay, the QA. So if you're in the field, definitely, right? So definitely you have some information. So what we do here, as I said, we go through our, probably if you don't have too much information, Ralph, because you joined late maybe. So we talked about the tools that we taught in the boot camps. We teach about automation, we teach about Java, we teach about Selenium, TestNG, Cucumber, backend testing. So definitely, right, definitely you can learn about those in the boot camp. And of course, at the end also we give a certification. We give a certificate to our students, but more important than the certificate is we help them find the job. We help them be prepared for the market, be prepared for the interviews to make sure that they find the job at the end. Because at the end, if they find the job, The good thing is that they also, right, they find a job and we become successful because we are successful only if our students are hired. And also we also get a part from that, right? Because when the students um, start working, also we are asking for 85% of their first month salary, which is the second part of our tuition, which that's why we share our tuition into two parts. So that is in general. And by the way, guys, definitely you can make an application now. You decide, right? So if you want to, if you go to the tuition fee, Eric, please. So by the way, guys, this is the discount that you can get right now. If you go to our website and if you apply, one of our, right, you can schedule a call there. One of our admission specialists will talk with you. You will be sent a contract with this discount, right? So it's suggested for you to sign as soon as possible so that you don't lose the discount. By the way, guys, there is no payment until the bootcamp starts. So the first day of the bootcamp is on March 29th. So the first payment will be, or the first installment will be on March 29th. You will have, guys, 1 month free trial. So during this 1 month, you can join the classes. You can see for yourself if you like it, if it's interesting, if it's doable. And then at the end of the first month, generally last week, I myself, because I am one of the instructors there in the class, I announce, do you like the classes? Do you want to continue? If yes, then we consider you as our students. We continue with the second installment and so on. If you decide to quit the class, it's totally okay. You just inform us and we will refund the first, right, the first payment. And this is, we're doing this one because we want you to see for yourself, to see if you can do it, if you like it. And then we have had a couple of cases which they do the boot camp, they cannot do it, they don't like it, or they find it intensive, and then they have probably suggested to other people. So that's why we do it, to make sure that everybody wants what they, I mean, understands what they're doing and they definitely like what they're doing. So because if we get students which at the end are not going to be able to find the job, then we don't like those kind of students because they make us unsuccessful, let's say. That's why our purpose is to make sure that only people that want to do it, they can do it, they sign up for the bootcamp. So that is in total, in general, guys. Do you have any other questions? Okay, so if not, we have been here 1 hour with you. Thank you very much, Eric, for your presentation, and hopefully we're going to see the students here signing up and see them in March 29th.
All right, congratulations to those of you moving forward, and we'll talk to you later.
Okay, good night.